Good morning, my name is Indira and I will be talking about the allegory of Animal Farm and the Russian Revolution. Maynard Farr representing Imperial Russia. In the story, the original farms under Mr. John ruled. It is a place of exploitation, inequality, and abuse toward the animal. Historical equivalent. Imperial Russian under its Tsar Nicholas II marked by the oppression of the poor majority by healthy and powerful minority. Symbols. Neglect, hunger, and mistreatment reflect the suffering of Russian peasants and workers before 1917. The rebellion against John represents the order of the Tsar during the February Revolution. Animalism represents the communist Marxism Leninism. In the story, it is ideological system founded by all major based of equality, solidarity, and the elimination of social class. Historical equivalent. The communist speciality has proposed by Karl Marx and adopted by Lenin, which aimed of a classes society withstow private property and with equal opportunities for all. The seven commandments are the animal vision of communist principles. All animals are equal, reflect the core principle of communism. Other time, the commandment become corruption. Some animals are more equal than others, showing how communist has discovered but Soviet leader to justify inequality and absolute power. General allegorical summary. Manor Farm is a Tsarist Russian and old and oppressive system. Animal Farm is a Soviet Union, a new nation born from hope but that falls into tyranny. Animalism is a communist, a promising ideology that in practice has corruption by power. Moses, the raven, representing the religion. In the story, a raven who speaks of sugar candy mountain and paradise animals will to go after death if they obey. He is a tolerant by the leader because he helps keep the animal submissive. In real history represent the Russian Orthodox Church, which was initially rejected by communists but later allowed because it helped maintain social order. Symbols and characteristics. Religion has a comfort for the oppressed, a tool to justify suffering with a premise of the better afterlife, political use of violence to pacify the people. Mr. John represents Isar Nicholas II. In the story, owner of major farm, he is careless, cruel, and alcoholic. The animals overthrow him due to his abuse and neglect. Characteristic: authoritarian, indifferent to animal suffering, represents the all exploitative elite. In the Russian Revolution, Nicholas II was a last leader of Russia. His incompetent social crisis and military defeat led to fall of the monarchy. Characteristic: weak autocrat, disconnect from the people, incapable of reform. All major represented Karl Marx and Lenin. In the story, an old, wise, and respected pig who inspired the revolution, which his dream of animal equality. His speech sparked the change. In the Russian Revolution, a mix of Karl Marx communist ideologies and Lenin leaderhood inspired and guided the 1917 revolution. Napoleon represents Joseph Stalin in the story. Clever, manipulate, and brutal pig, he expels a snowball, takes absolute power, and rules which represent. In the Russian Revolution, Stalin became the Soviet leader after Lenin's death. He consolidated power, eliminated his rival, and established a totality dictatorship. A snowball represents Leon Trotsky. In the story, intelligent, passionate, big, and good speaker promotes the windmill and social improvement. He is exiled by Napoleon. In the Russian Revolution, Trotsky was brilliant revolutionary leader and founded the Red Army, political rival of Stalin. He was exiled and examined. Squealer represents the propaganda, Prabat and KGB. In the story, a small persuasive pig who twins the truth to justify Napoleon's action. Characteristic: liar, manipulator, expert in changing facts. In the Russian Revolution represent the Communist Party propaganda machine like the Pravda newspaper used to justify regime decision. Characteristic: censorship, propaganda, indoctrination. Boxer represent working class. In the story, a strong noble and loyal horse works until death, blindly believing in the system. Key phrase is I will work harder, and Napoleon is always night. In the Russian Revolution represent the worker, a peasant who believed in the revolution, worked harder but were betrayed. Clover represent the inner people with institution. In the story, a loving maternal mother suspect something is wrong but carve full understand or act on it. In the Russian Revolution represent people who sensed the regime abused but lacked education or meant to resist. The dogs represent Soviet secret police and KBD and KGB. In the story, puppies secretly resist being Napoleon, become his personal reserve force. In the Russian Revolution symbolism the Soviet political police who hunted, imprisoned and executed opponents of the regime. Molly represents the bourgeoisie, pro-exer upper class. In the story, being more who love ribbons, sugar, and human attention. She fell after the revolution. In the revolution represent aristocrats and bourgeoisie who fled the country to avoid losing their privileges. The sheep represent indoctrinated masses. In the story, animals that mindlessly repeat slogan like 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. The characteristic obedient, uncritical, easily manipulated. In the Russian Revolution represent the people indoctrinated by communist propaganda, unable to question characteristics, manipulate message, support the regime. Benjamin represent passive intellectuals. In the story, an old wheezy donkey sees the abuse but does nothing to stop it. Characteristic is cynical, perceptive, and indifferent. In the Russian Revolution, symbolize intellectuals who remain that inactive due to fear or hopelessness, allowing the system to become corruption. Characteristic is observant criminals and silent. The Seven Commandments represent the corruption of communist ideals. At first, they reflect the core visual of animalism equality, solidarity, and justice. Whoever was the peak against power that secretly changed to commandment to justify their privileges. In the end, only one remains. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. This shows how the original ideals of the revolution were twisted to maintain control and justify inequality. The flag represents revolutionary ideology. In animal farms, a green flag with a white hoof and horn symbolism animalism and hope for equality. Historical equivalent represent the Soviet flag and communist propaganda with the hawk and horn replacing the hammer and sickle. Case ideas revolutionary identity propaganda and the loss of ideals over time. The windmill represents Soviet industrialization. In the animal farm, the windmill is a major project promoted by Snowball and later claimed by Napoleon. It symbolizes progress and hard work, but it repeatedly destroyed and rebuilt, representing false promise and the suffering on the animal. Historical parallel. It symbolizes Stalin's 5 year plan for rapid industrialization in the Soviet Union. These plans were meant to modernize the country but led to immense hardship, forced labor, and many deaths. Case themes was false hope and propaganda, exploitation of the working class, and the cycle of distribution and rebuilding without real progress. Capitalism represents the human regime before the revolution, represented by Mr. John and the other humans. It symbolizes the capitalist system where the workers, the animals, are exploited while the owners, the human, keep the profit. The rebellion reflects the desire to end that injustice and build the new system. Frederick represents Adolf Hitler and Nazi Germany. In Animal Farm, Frederick, owner of Pinchfield Farms, trains Napoleon with fake money and attacks the farm, destroying the windmill. Historical parallel represent Hitler and the Nazi betrayal of Stalin after the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. K trade violence, torture, symbol of fascism and Nazi aggression. Symbolizes his betrayal mirrored Hitler's invasion of the USSR, Operation Barbarossa. Mr. Wimper represents capitalist intermediary, the West. He is the human solicitor of traders who represent Animal Farm in the outside world. He symbolizes businessmen, diplomats, or Western capitalist countries that did business with the Soviet Union despite knowing what has happening inside. His role holding how economic interests often outweighs ethics. Thank you for paying attention.